Hello again, wrestling fans. On behalf of the Highspots Wrestling Network, I'm Corky Franks, and we're here in Charlotte, North Carolina this weekend for the very special, prestigious two-day tournament, X16, and I'm standing here with one of the participants, Matt Riddle. First of all, Matt, thank you for joining us. Second of all, and probably more importantly, how's your chances of winning the tournament here this weekend?
I think my chances are pretty good, bro. Fought in the UFC, was pretty successful there. Fought outside the UFC, good there. And I've been just killing it on the indies since then, So I'm pretty sure I'm going to win this. I won my last tournament a couple weeks ago, so I think I'm going to just add this trophy to, the trophy case.
Well, speaking of tournaments, you recently participated in the Battle of Los Angeles out at PWG, and later that night, a special episode of An Officer and a Gentleman, which are both available on the Highspots Wrestling Network. Tell us about your time in Los Angeles, more importantly, in PWG.
PWG was for sure an experience. I wrestled Kyle O'Reilly, and I was also in a 10-man tag with Tommy and Cedric. I could go on Yushin Liger, everybody, and I don't think you don't know what PWG is unless you've been there and you wrestled there and you've felt the crowd, because it's more than the wrestlers, it's the crowd. And afterwards, of course, Officer and a Gentleman, me and Chuck Taylor, we were roommates when we went down to the tryout for WWE. So I knew him from that, and me and Dan Barry have crossed paths multiple times on the indies, and it was a blast. We talked about fighting dinosaurs, and cool shit like that. It was great.
We were talking a little bit earlier about Sean Waltman, a.k.a. X-Pac, a.k.a. the 1-2-3 Kid, said in an interview that he thinks that you have the potential to be as good, if not better, than Kurt Angle. How is it that the transition from MMA to professional wrestling is seemingly so easy for you?
I think the biggest factor for me is I've been a fan ever since I was a kid. And I had a lot of backyard experience. I say it, and I usually say it with a smile jokingly, but I legitimately had a lot of wrestling matches, and I watched wrestling vividly all the time, recorded at VHSs, everything. So I was a diehard wrestling fan, and I got into amateur wrestling and so on and so forth, and that's what brought me to the MMA. But then when I got fired and I saw my opportunity again, I felt like I was coming full circle. Little kid Matt was coming full circle at about 28 years old, 29 years old, and now I'm back in pro wrestling, and I couldn't agree with X-Pac anymore. He's the one that, kind of scouted me, found me, and kind of helped me, put my name out there. And I personally think, I don't want to sound arrogant, but I think the road I'm going, if I stay humble and I keep doing what I'm doing and keep working hard, I think I'm going to pass Kurt Angle for sure.
Well, that's a big statement, and you brought this up, UFC. You brought it up. I didn't. Speaking of UFC, do you miss anything about the UFC?
I do miss fighting. Fighting was, getting in there, letting it all go. It's fun, but there's so many things I don't miss about fighting. I don't miss cutting weight. Pro wrestling, it's open weight most of the time, unless it's, cruiserweight, and that's still 205. That's easy for me to make. And MMA is just, you only get to fight 3 times a year. For a guy like me, I want to be in front of that crowd. I want to compete. I want to perform more than 3 times a year. And in professional wrestling, I'm going to perform probably 3 or 4 times this weekend, and I do that every single week, and it's the greatest. So I don't miss anything other than the fights.
Now, you mentioned Officer and a Gentleman. You guys were talking about fighting grizzly bears. So let's close this thing out with a little special scenario. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay, so let's go on a little trip here. Let's say you just got signed by the WWE. You have 30 days. You're going to make it to the WWE. You want to chill out, maybe get some medicinal marijuana, go relax, medicinal.
Legal, always legal. It's the way to do it. I don't condone terrorism or using drugs or the devil's lettuce. And
we got sidetracked. Sorry. Yeah. So we're going on a safari. We're in a helicopter. Not we're in a helicopter. You're in a helicopter in the safari over Africa. You look down, man, you see the rhinoceri, giraffes, lions, everything. You're having a great time. You're going to make millions of dollars. And all of a sudden the pilot says, "Mayday, mayday, we're going down." You're like, "Oh, man, what's going to happen?" So the pilot lays it down on the ground. The cockpit fills up with smoke. Sparks flying everywhere. Matt Riddle jumps out of the helicopter. As soon as you jump out and start running, the thing blows up. You're the only guy remaining alive in the safari, Sahara Desert, Savannah, whatever it is in Africa. You make your way over to a tree, heart rate's pumping, testosterone jacked up, the sun's beating down, and you look up, and staring back at you is the fastest animal on the planet, the cheetah. Eyes lock, and only one man's going to walk out alive. How does Matt Riddle walk out alive and take out the cheetah?
I knew you were going to go this way, and I was already 10 steps ahead of you. All right, the thing about cats, any feline, and you've probably petted a house cat or any cat, is they have a lot of extra fur on the back of their neck. You can kind of pick them up by it. I'm not going to pick up this cheetah, you know, but with my jiu-jitsu skills, I work a lot of gi chokes. So right there, I grab its fur, curl it up, tuck in my forearm. From here, I grab my forearm and choke. Just elevate the elbow. Pretty simple gi choke. Probably wrap my legs around, get guard so it can't claw me off it, and work from there. You know, and establish a dominant position. You know, stay away from the mouth, but at the same time, if I'm reaching, I'm blocking the mouth, and the harder he comes in at me, the harder he chokes himself or herself. You know, it doesn't matter what sex the cheetah is.
Well, before you choke me out, I think that's enough for now. You can see Matt Riddle, all of his
Heart's racing. Feel it.
Oh, he's pumping. He's ready.
It's pumping, bro. I'm ready.
He's ready to go, man. You can see Matt Riddle and so much more on the Highspots Wrestling Network. Subscribe today. Thank you, Matt Riddle, for joining us.
Thank you, bro.
Thanks, bro.